Oh, that stopped so quickly. Hey everyone, I'm Susan Jane, and welcome to today's intuitive flower reading. This is where you can see how your intuition is guiding you towards your emotional goals. Now, all you need to do is pick a number between 1 and 100, and you will receive a free intuitive flower reading. If you want a complete reading with the video and the written format, you just have to jump on the link below. So, for today, we start with the moon cycles. Now, the moon cycles this week, and I do that because I owned an organic crop farm, a 90-acre organic crop farm, actually. And in that crop farm, I used to do, let me get the comments up first. I used to do planting by the moon. So I'd look at the moon cycle. You could buy these great big charts then, because there was obviously no internet then. We had these great big charts, and it had all the moon cycles on it for the year. And at one stage, I think I've had about 5 of these charts because they were so beautiful. But I would plant all the crops for the moon in reference to the moon cycles. And it's just sort of resonated with me. And I really saw a big difference in how the plants grew. In fact, I used to grow this garlic, and it was a special garlic that I went into a co-op with. And you brought your first pack of garlic, and then what you used to do is you would grow the garlic and you would sell that garlic back to them, and you would hold on to 10%, and that was for the crop for the next time. Now, these garlic they were called pearls of wisdom because they were a particular garlic that had the highest range of some particular chemicals to help you with your health, but the lowest for the smell of garlic and that side of it. So they were really well designed and well thought of, because there is thousands of different garlics as well. So these little pearls of wisdom we were growing, and they were designed that they were small, and you could just pop a whole garlic straight in your mouth. Now, if you sort of swallow a whole garlic like a pill, you didn't get the smell of garlic coming out through you. It's only when the garlic's crushed that you get that smell coming through. So I used to grow these pearls of wisdoms. These pearls of health, they called them. And anyway, because I grew everything with the moon cycles, what happened? These little pearls, garlic pearls, ended up being like garlic, I don't know, golf balls. They grew so big and so well because I would grow via the moon cycles. I did it all organically. I would fertilize them. I'd love them, nurture them. And of course, they grew too big. So the first crop was that. Well, the first crop was fun. The second crop, they all grew even bigger. So we had to look at it differently. But unfortunately, the guy that was running it and organizing it, he passed away. So it sort of just all fizzled out. But it gave me a really good understanding of growing with the moon cycles. And I feel that we also grow with the moon cycles. And because I do the flower readings, it's all part of when do we put those goals, and flowers are our goals, when do we start putting those goals into action? When do we start to work with them? So we're coming into the last quarter now, and we've gone through the waning gibbous. We're now into the last quarter, and we're looking at the waning crescent. Now, this is obviously when the moonlight is decreasing and the soil starts to absorb. So anything in there, it'll absorb the energy. So it sort of draws it all down and protects it. The growth is reduced at this particular time. So it's not a good time to actually be planting, because this particular week, it is not a good time to set goals. It's the time for rest and recoup. It's a break week. Now, when I was on the farm, obviously you didn't have a week where you could have a break, but you would do other things. Oh, morning, Mel. Sorry, I'm a little world of my own. Pick a number between 1 and 100 and you get a flower reading. And I know if you can't stick around, that's fine. You can watch it at the replay. But anyway, so I'll just keep going with my little story. So this week, it is about not setting goals. It's all about self-care this week. It's all about the self-love and looking after the self. Now, we can do that in so many ways. In a physical sense, it's a protection week. In a mental sense, it's an acceptance week. So accepting ourselves. In an emotional, it's an allowance. And in a spiritual, it's a trusting week. So when we look at those a little bit deeper, we can start to have an understanding of what the self-love is all about. So with the physical side, the protection is all about creating boundaries. So this week we need to be really aware of our boundaries, because it is so easy to let ourselves go and do things for everyone else and not put those boundaries up. Now, boundaries are really good, not only for yourself, but for other people around you, because they get that understanding of when they're pushing things and when they're not. And part of that self-love is to protect yourself and those boundaries. The other side of the mental aspect of accepting is about celebrating who you are and the way you are. So this is the week to actually accept that and celebrate that. Yes, we have our flaws, but that doesn't make us bad. That just colors us in a different way. So we all have that ability. The next side is the emotional side. So this week we need to allow. Now, making mistakes is all part of life. Allow ourselves to be able to do that. And look, there's going to be this week where we just want to just chill out, relax, take it easy. And okay, if we make mistakes, so be it. Don't let them run over and over and over in your head, because you start to feel it starts to hurt the heart. So when you're reflecting on anything this week, be gentle with how you reflect on it. Don't be all gung-ho. And the last part of the spiritual side for self-love is about trust. It's about trusting and finding that happy, intuitive medium. So, and learning to trust it, because we all have different ways that we can connect with our intuition. And so it's really important to find your little niche. So flower reading's my niche. Other people do card reading. Some people do channeling. It's all about finding your niche and trusting that and going with that. So that's this week. And what we look at with intuitive flowers this week is we look at the calyx, which is protection. We can look at the scent, thorns, and the light. So we're looking at all those external things from the flower, apart from the calyx, which is that green sheath that you'll often see it. Best way to describe the calyx is that green sheath that covers, say, like a rose, or the gum nut from the eucalyptus. And the Australians will know this one, the gum nut from the eucalyptus tree. That's part of the calyx, and that's where it's turned actually into wood. So number 33, Mel. Okie doke. So that's our reading this weekend. Don't set goals this weekend. It's all about self-love and self-nurturing this week. This week, as we go into that waning crescent. So all about looking after the self this week. One of the other aspects is the following week is when we start to look at the goals. So some of the areas we can look at this week too is a little bit more about getting an understanding of a direction, not actually making the goal, but getting a little bit more of an understanding of where we do want to go. And so that becomes a little bit clearer as we go forward. But let's quickly do a flower. Hey, Mel, I have to let you know too, my little baby girl was in hospital. She's in hospital at the moment. She had Beck Smith flower for you this week. Get a number for Bex, and I'll do a flower for her too. Little Eden had to go to hospital. She's got croup and everything, so she's not too well at the moment. It's really horrible when you hear about bubbies going into, I can see your flower, Mel. Really horrible when you hear bubbies going into hospital and stuff like that, especially when they're having trouble breathing. But anyway, Mel, here's yours. Enough of me. Yeah, poor Bubba. Yeah, exactly. Before I share this, I just want to explain to you what she did. Now, she's 3 going on 4, and she hadn't been sleeping very well. And of course, she's in hospital. She's not sleeping. And the nurses were coming around and giving her injections and, tests and everything else. And at about 3:30, Carly said she fell asleep. We all fell asleep. And anyway, the nurses all came in the morning, and I don't know what time it was, but Eden, and they woke Eden up because they were doing the test. And Eden said, "Don't wake Mummy up. She needs to have her sleep." And she went through and did all the tests and everything else on her own, and then went back to sleep. And Carly, the nurses told Carly when Carly woke up, and she just couldn't believe it. And I mean, this is how empathic she is. She's just an amazing little child. Amazing. And I'm not favourite. Yes, I am. I am very biased. All right, here's your flower, Mel. Sorry, I had to share you that because I'm a little bit proud of my poor Bubba. This is your flower. And what we're looking at this week, because we want to look at the areas about self-love and where we're going with the self-love, I'm going to be reflecting. Yeah, she is a beautiful soul. I'm going to be reflecting on the self-love aspect to it. So when we look at this, we look at this, self-love is really, really challenging to look at self-love when you've got a field of flowers, what we call a field of flowers. Because I see this self-love for you is more of a community sort of minded or like-minded people. So you can get your self-love or your understanding of self-love by connecting with those that are like-minded around you. Hang on a minute. I need a tissue. Sorry, I don't know whether you know, but my partner's got COVID and I'm due to probably get it in the way things are going. So it's all about self-love. Now, we can look at this area and we go, okay, self-love for you is knowing that others around you are also okay, that they're looked after in a certain way. Now, when I look at this image, I'll bring that image across here. I see this one here as the main area of what you're focusing on, because that's actually clear and crisp. But you can't focus on yourself unless you know the others are around you are okay. So when we look at sort of the self-love for you this week, we would say situations like, okay, make sure your children are safe, make sure everybody else is safe, and then you can give yourself that time. When you give yourself that time, you can really give it to yourself 100%. So that's a real important area there with your self-love. You're not the type of person to just drop everything. I'm wanting Sal. You're not the type of person to just drop everything and go, no, it's all about me. I'm out of here. You need to know that your area around you is okay to go, and then you will be able to give yourself a bit of time. I also see your self-love, Mel, this week as grabbing bits and pieces as you can too. It's not one, yes, Sally, you can have card 56. It's not one big image. It's not one big area there. It's really more about grabbing that time while you can. And if that means you have to actually schedule it in, do so. If you need to schedule some time in for you this week, do so, because that's really, really important. So we can see that in your image that, yes, you need to have everyone, not need to have everyone, just know that everyone's okay. Like I know when I used to do my meditations, like, you can't sit there and do a meditation and know that there's kids screaming in the back room, like that just doesn't work. So you've got to have that area right for you, those areas right. Then you can give yourself the self-love. But again, there's lots of little ones there. And I think probably you're looking at more of an hour chunk here, 2 hour chunk there, 10 minutes there. You're looking at those sort of things. But when you do that, be wholehearted in it. Really give it to yourself, give you that time and everything else. Because if you've got these smaller chunks, they've got to be 100% for you, not shared. Okay, it's not this. See, we get this little blurry area over here. It's not this blurry area. It's this lovely, crisp, clean. Okay, I'm giving myself an hour, even if it's a matter of I'm sitting down to eat my lunch, and don't do it like me in front of the computer. Do it properly. Sit down and eat the lunch. You might sit outside in the sunshine and just absorb that, thinking of nothing else. It's all just about how the food is helping us and really enjoying that moment. So that is yours for today. Self-love, bits and pieces everywhere. Make sure everything else is fine and you can really enjoy the moment. Hope that helps. Okay. Yep, finding self-love in small amounts at the moment. Yeah, perfect. Okay, Sal, you're number 56. Oh, yeah, baby. I keep forgetting that other people are going to see this maybe later, so I shouldn't really sing, should I? Sorry. Okay, Sal. Nice and cold down there for you, Missy. Here is your beautiful flower. Funny, I did that. Oh, okay. I'll read that in a minute, Mel. I shouldn't be reading all your notes, should I? Okay, so here is yours. Now, as I talked about earlier, this week is about self-love. It's not, we're not making goals or more goals this morning. It's this week because of the moon cycles. It's all about rest, relax, break, give ourselves some time. So when I look at your flower image, you have the opportunity of having one, really focusing on yourself this week. And it's all to do with giving yourself that break, giving yourself some time. One of the things that he talked about earlier is about looking at a direction. Like, we don't want to make the goals this week, but it's nice time to be reflecting back and thinking, well, where do I want to go? Double digits. Where do I want to go? What can I look at? So without actually making a direction goal, it isn't a bad day. This week isn't a bad time for you to start looking, as we see this one here coming up, start looking a little bit further ahead of where you do want to go. Don't create the goal as yet, but just have that playing in your mind. So as you've got that playing in your mind, you could be doing that during meditation, during your walks, different things like that, where we're giving yourself a bit of time and just put it out there that, okay, where do I want to go next? Or if that's where I'm going, oh, you're in a presenters course this week. Cool. If that's where I'm going. So yeah, don't make your goals this week, Sal. Just allow those sort of thoughts and images and where you could go to come into place. When I look at the flower, because I wanted to sort of focus on the calyx and the protection. See this area here? This is a calyx. That's the protection. It's that green area that protects the bud. So when we're looking at the protection you had with this image, you had a lot of protection at the beginning. You don't need that so much now. It's well and truly open. You're well and truly happening. Hey, Bex, how you going? Pick a number between 1 and 100. Okay, so Sal, I want to get this a little bit clearer because I'm going a bit off tangent. This week we're doing self-love. We're looking at the influences for self-love this week. Okay, focusing in, again, yours is the water lily. So we look at the influences for self-love. A lot of this is to do with the water. Okay, so the emotions you're going through as you're going through them. So I want you to sit back this week while we're doing the self-love, while you're giving yourself this time, either walking, either, massage, meditation, any of this time that you're giving yourself. I want you to be really mindful as you reflect back about the emotions that you've had with these different areas. And as you look at them, please, as I said, be gentle with yourself. It is really, really easy for us to go, oh, well, this for me. Oh, God, why did you do that? And why did you do it that way? So be gentle on yourself as you reflect, all right? So we're looking at protection. You've had your protection. We're looking at acceptance. So, and there's no scent with a water lily. So there's not that issue that you have. But there is the water side of it, which is all part of emotions and allowing us to make the mistakes. So maybe in your course as you're going through, you're going to get this reflection going back, going, oh, I might have not done that right. I might have done this a little bit odd. Be gentle with yourself. You don't be hard on yourself. It's a time for nurturing, reflecting, and self-love this week. Okay, so be gentle with yourself. I can see you being a bit. There's going to a little spark that's going to sort of get you a little bit annoyed this week. Be gentle with yourself. Okay. Yes, we all make mistakes, and please be gentle with yourself. There's something that's going to really trigger something in this course that you're doing. All right. So be gentle. That. I just can't express that enough because those emotions are really going to be rocking. Okay. You'll get through it by the end of the week. By Sunday, it'll be all cool. Monday, you'll be back on track again and focusing on that direction where you're going, because next week it's the direction goals. This week, we're just getting an understanding of it. Okay. That's your Sal. Hope you enjoyed that. Bex, pick a number between 1 and 100, and you have picked number 15. Let me get number 15 out for you. Now, as I said earlier, with these, we are looking, hang on, I've got to share it first. It pops up in front of me and I've got to share it. Share the screen. Here's your flower, Bex. Now, as I was going through it before, no worries, Sal. As I was going through it before, so we're looking at influences. We're looking at things that are extra this week, and it's all about self-love. So we're not necessarily going to look at the petals and read the petals. We're not going to be looking at the stem of the journey. That's for next week. But this week is all about self-love. And we look at the influences that the self-love can help us with. And of course, you've got one really, really big influence there, which is the insect. Okay. Can't really beat that. That's very obvious. I must have taken this photo just to capture the insect, because if you look at it, the insect is actually in focus and the flower isn't. So when we look at this, and of course the insect is actually on the stem, not the flower. So it's in the journey. It's part of the journey. Now, when we look at this side of it, and we talk about self-love and all the rest of that for this week, and how that energy is drawing in, and we need to be nurturing and loving this week. That insect, to me, we look at insects, it's either a positive or a negative with an insect, because insects do two different things for the flower. So one, it can either be pollinating it and helping it move from, grow from flower to flower. The other thing is it can be, well, actually, no, there's three things now that I think about it. The other thing is it can be eating the flower. So using it as a form of food. So it could be absorbing and eating the flower. But for this one, for the first time ever, and thank you, Bex, I've been doing flower readings for 600 years almost. No, I've been doing them for ages. And this is the first time I've actually been aware that the bug could be landing on it as a form of rest before moving on to something else, because this particular bug certainly doesn't eat those flowers and it doesn't pollinate those flowers. I don't know what the bug is, but I know it's not doing that. So consequently, is it resting or hiding? So I say to you, are you resting? Are you hiding? And hiding is not a bad thing, especially this week. Sometimes we need to do that. We need to close ourselves down and stop doing everything we are doing and just bring ourselves back to where we need to be. And because this bug is on your stem, on your journey, your path, it is the perfect time for you this week to just pull back a little bit and not necessarily simplify, but you could simplify if that's how you need to do it. But just be aware that life will still go on, even if you're not quite out there and doing everything that you feel you need to do. And I'm not too sure if this reading is for you, Bex, or if this reading is actually for me, because that's the sort of thing I do. I sort of think, oh, they need this, and I've got to do this, and this is for social media, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And I've become so busy with what everybody else is doing, I forget to bring it back to myself. And so this bug to me is saying that to you. Don't be afraid to hide under your goal. Don't be afraid to just give yourself that little bit of space from all those other things that could be going for it. Don't be afraid this week to have that rest and just not focus. Focus is not the word. Allow your, oh, it's a crane fly. Ah, thank you, Mel. I didn't know what that was. So it's a crane fly. Okay. So, oh, cool. Thank you. I'll know that for next time. I won't call it a bug anymore. I'll call it a crane fly. But yeah, what it's sort of saying to me is allow your journey to come through you this week, to get an understanding of it this week, because next week it's all about your direction goals. So allow that direction, allow that journey and the understanding to come through this week and get it a little bit clearer. But definitely time to just pull back this week and just give yourself some of that self-love, that self-nurturing aspect. All right, that is yours, Bex. Okay. Anyone else? We have got a couple more minutes left and we can do a number between 1 and 100. And I might, if no one's there, just do a random pick for Brian. I haven't heard from Brian for a little while. Oh, no, I know who likes getting a reading. I'll do it for Leah. So we'll do a random pick. I'll just allow this to randomize between 1 and 100. And because I don't like picking them. Make sure it's working. Yep, it's working. Okay, so I'm going to do, what about one for Lexi, number 42? Okay, I'll do Lexi's, and I'll do this one, and this one's number 64. So this is for Leah. Hers is number 64. Let me find that one, and then I'll do Lexi's. Number 64. Okay. Okay, Leah. Oops, got to share it, don't I? Whoops. Okay, here we go. So Leah, here's your flower. And it's very, very focused on the community. We can tell by the horizontal format as well as the flowers itself. So when we're looking at the things that are extra with this one, we can look at light. That's another thing that's extra. So we see this light in the background here. Why am I going in the hand? Anyway, you see this light in the background here. And that suggests that it could be of a spiritual nature coming through. So it looks sort of ghost-like, for the want of another word, but it's like that spiritual helper coming through. And it's coming through. It's been there in the past. It's coming through to help you this week. And that might be coming through to help you just to relax and slow down a little bit. We can also understand this one with the influences when we look at it this week on how we can help our self-love. When we look at the blossom, this type of blossom, a cherry blossom, straight away we go back to Japan, and it is very, very cultural. So it's a cultural thing. If we had an Australian flower come up, I'd go back into cultural too. But when you have a flower like a rose or a water lily, because they're worldwide, they're not as culturally based. Whereas the blossom, especially the apple blossom, is very, very culturally based. And it is really, really important in that aspect. So we look at self-love, we look at the culture. What is it that you resonate with that creates that self-love for you? Now, I know a little bit about you, Leah, and I know you love music and that side of things. So in that context, that is your culture. That is your way of being. So for you to relax and give yourself some self-love could be sitting there and playing the guitar or practicing the guitar, sitting there and playing the piano, having a sing-song with your friends. That'll be the way. Okay, sorry, I'm reading Beck's message. That'll be the way how you can create that self-love for you. So that's how you can unwind and give yourself that time. So that's really important in that sort of area. So we've got that light there coming through. That's going to be helping you. So you're going to have a lot more spiritual work going on this week. And I would say that is more about self-reflecting, because it's in towards the back of the image, towards the past. So a lot more about self-reflecting and getting an understanding of that. So give yourself some time, be mindful of your culture and how you relate to self-love, because that's more important than how anyone else relates to self-love, how you do it. Okay, that is for you, Leah. And then I'll quickly do Mel's little Lexi, number 42 for Lex. This is about her self-love, Mel. Wait till you see this little picky. Yeah, I think you've seen it before. Okay, look at that. Got the same sort of image, but look how there's nothing else in it. And this image compared to Beck's was a portrait. This one's a landscape. So for Lexi to look at self-love, she will not look at it in a positive light as much as what she will do in a negative light. If Mel's putting on that self-love aspect, because she doesn't quite understand it. So self-love for her needs to be more of a physical action. And so she's not going to understand this quiet time, reflective time, an understanding of that side of it. And yet that's really, really important to her. When we look at the extras, the influences of this image, there isn't any. We've got a little bit of light to the front, but there isn't any there. Lex's image is so, I don't mean basic, it's so simple. It's so easy. And yet she could make it quite difficult if she chooses to. So I think for you, Mel, to help Lexi with her self-love, is to find out that little area of hers that she gets that deeper understanding of, where she can really connect to it. Now, like if I looked at self-love, I would say go and have a soak in a bath, because that would be, that would be really lovely for me. For a child, would that be it, or would that be more of a job? So understanding what is her view on self-love and trying to get that to go forward, it will be what's so really relevant for her today. Okay, so and it is simple. It's as simple as a dandelion. And maybe we go into it too deeply. Maybe we put too much into it. Whereas as simple as sitting there drawing or playing with an ant and a stick could be just what she needs, or a swing, or something really, really basic. So be mindful of that when you're helping her, give her that space. And definitely off of the screens. It's definitely not screen time. And that's probably where you'll get this negative rebuck from, because she'll want to do screen time, and that's her self-love. Simple, almost mundane activity. Yes, Mel. Yeah. Very, very simple. Yep. And yeah, you almost just overlook it. So that's hers. Yeah, that, and off the screen, because that's way too busy. It needs to be something really simple. Even a walk in the park. Even a walk is probably too much. Just sitting in the park, if that makes sense. Just sitting there. That is sort of how she's got to look at it, which, yeah, it's going to be a challenge for you. Especially when they're such a go-getters and they're so busy. Yeah. Oh, you can tell her that she can. Oh, don't you dare tell her I can't. She couldn't have her iPad. Don't you blame it on me, Mel. So Bex, very interesting. Feeling into resting or hiding, allowing the journey and understanding. Yeah, cool. See how you go with that. And Mel, it's a crane fly. The main thing to remember is that the adult stage of the crane fly is harmless. It looked harmless. In fact, their biology is such that their contribution to our ecosystem is largely beneficial, because the larvae feed on decaying organic matter and thus assist in the biological decomposition process. Oh, thanks, Mel. Well, it was just a bug to me. But anyway, anyway, guys, that's it from me this weekend. You can get a flower reading, a free flower reading every week. You can get your own personal one. The link's in down below. This week for the podcast, we have got defining success. Oh, hi, Kimberly. Do you want a quick? I've got time for a quickie. Do you want to pick a flower? Pick a number between 1 and 100, and I can do a quick flower reading for you. But while I'm waiting for that one, if she wants to do that, the Voice of Intuition podcast out this Thursday is about redefining success. What actually is success, or what does it mean to you, and redefining it. So that is, I'm finding that quite interesting too, going along. Kimberly, do you want to pick a number between 1 and 100, or do you want me to do a random? Haha, yes, please. Okay, pick a number. Come on, you can do this, girl. We get this. Yeah, so all about redefining. Number 3. Good, you went for the low numbers, Kimberly. Okay. Now, these pictures too, I'll share the screen. These pictures I'm changing up, moving around, so we don't get the same number, so you can't pick the same one each time. Ooh, how cool am I? This is yours today. And today, this week, because of the moon cycles, as I was explaining earlier, the moon cycles we're on our the 4th quarter. So we're into that waning crescent, and it's all about self-love this week. So it's about protecting, accepting, allowing, and trusting this week. So all about self-love. And when we look at that with our flower image, we start to look at the areas of influences. So what is influencing and in this image? So it's not just about reading the actual flower itself, it's reading the influences around it, and what it's all about. So when we look at yours, Kimberly, what I see straight away down the bottom here is this blurry bit down the bottom here, which are either old flowers that have fallen away or new ones coming through. No, these are the new ones coming through. So these are older areas falling away type thing, or supporting. So what I see with this one, because it's all about self-love, you've had other like-minded people around you that you've just risen above. They've been there to support you and help you. And they can do that again with your self-love, but you don't need to have them really, really close. They were there, and I think what you'd like to do is get an understanding of what they do for their self-love and how you can go forward with that and how you can get an understanding of that to help you this week. Again, it's this week. We really need to focus on that side of it. So what they do here is blurry. Okay. So what that means is you don't have to follow it to a T. You just need to be aware of it, get an understanding of it, and then implement it in your way. Now, as I was just saying with Mel before, what I see as self-love could be a big soak in the bath, glass of wine, candle going, music nice. That could be self-love for me. How it is for you, and that could be how your like-minded friends see it, but how it is for you is how it is for you. Now, you might find a soak in the bath a pain in the bum, because you know you're going to get interrupted because there's kids home or there's something happening. So that might not be your self-love. Your self-love might be, maybe a quick shower and then a book in the corner of the room, curled up in the corner of the room and just enjoying it in the warmth. So get an understanding of what other people's are, blur it out a little bit, take bits and pieces, and then I want you to start to look at your self-love. Now, or how you want to do that. Because of this, the energies are all decreasing or absorbing. So the energy's all, coming down from the moon. It's decreasing, absorbing, and that's what we need to do. We need to sort of like curl up in the corner. We need to give ourselves that time, give ourselves that space. Sure, we can shine. We can still be out there shining, which you are going to be doing this week, but give yourself that time out as well. Just as important to shine as it is to give yourself that time out, that break. The other thing I'm getting is this back area here, and I really don't know what that is. But there's this dark area in the back there behind you. So as part of our self-love, we can do a bit of self-reflecting. And I think there's something there in the back there that sort of seems to be marring your background, your understanding behind you. And I want you to get a little bit of a clearer understanding of it. But again, it's self-love. We need to accept who we are and celebrate that. But we also need to acknowledge that we're allowed to make mistakes. All right. So when you start to look at this, don't see this as a mistake. See it as some form of learning. So there's something that's happened there for you that you can get some sort of learning from, some sort of understanding, get some clarity, and it's going to take you forward. So it's almost like it's at a physical level, taking you towards more of a spiritual level, and it lightens up as it goes through. Another area we can look at is the light too, and you have got light in the background, and it is highlighting that area of the friendship, of friends, and you going forward on your journey as well. So this week for you, Kimberly, yes, you're going to be out there still shining, but give yourself that time for yourself. And I really would like you to have that time to just reflect back on a little bit. And there's something that's happening, that's going through your life, that's going, growing with you, and it's heading from that physical side to that more of a spiritual aspect. And it's a learning. It's a great learning, and it's getting lighter and brighter and better as it goes along. So be gentle with yourself again, because I'm not sure, maybe I don't know if I'm talking to myself when I'm saying that or whether I'm talking to you, but be gentle with yourself, because there's so much about you that is wonderful and out there and bright. But don't let this thing in the background be of a negative nature. See it as going positive. All right, this happened. How can I get a positive from that? How could I see the silver lining in that? Okay, so that is yours, Kimberly. I hope that makes sense. Oh my goodness, sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I don't know if it's for you or for me anyway. But that's it for today, because I have to go and get some other stuff done. Thank you so much for joining. I'm really honoured to have so many people on. It was really exciting. I love doing this, as you probably can gather. And so I'd love to see you next week. But for this week, again, I'm just going to reiterate. Oh, thanks, Kimberly. I'm glad it makes perfect sense, because you look at these pictures and you sort of go, what are they saying? And all I can do is tell you what I can see, and you don't know if it makes sense. So thank you, Kimberly. I'm glad it makes sense for you. So enjoy your week. Again, it's not about creating goals. No goals this week, but it's getting an understanding. It's time to reflect and give yourself that little bit of time. You know, it's not going to hurt for you to go into your cave this week. It's not going to hurt for you to, hide a little bit, if that's what it needs to. It's a darker area for the moon cycle, and it's a great time to reflect and give yourself a little bit of space. So I keep saying a soak in the bath. I'm going to do that. That's my turn tonight. I'm going to have a soak in a bath. Love doing that, especially when I'm clean. Not so good when you're dirty. All right, guys, have a great week. Connect with me on all the channels and catch the podcast this week on Thursday morning. All right, I'm saying bye for now. Have a great week. And, thank you, Kimberly. See you next week. Hey, do the like thing so you don't miss it. Do the like thing. God, look how talented I am. All right, guys, be gentle with yourself. All right, saying bye. I've got to go because I've got to finish, which is the right button.